You're tuned to Off the Ball, the most petty and ill-informed sports programme on radio the week in Scottish football. One word, and the word is disappointed. Football and the cost of living, and your great escape. I'm Stuart Cosgrove, he's Tam Cowan, and you're tuned to the odd couple of Scottish football. Thomas, let me begin this show by showing the respect you deserve. I salute your indefatigability.
Yeah, old George is back. Can we get him on the show?
Aye, he's been a guest over many a year.
He's in at Rochdale, I think, to fix the potholes in Rochdale and keep the rents down for the locals. Is that correct?
No, I don't think so.
Anyhow, old George, if you're tuned in, hey, I have it in very good authority from the man himself that he still enjoys tuning into the show from time to time. So we can get George on if he's listening. Another one that I heard about recently, which I thought was lovely. He's a big fan of Sports Sound, clearly for keeping his finger on the pulse with Scottish football, but he has been known to enjoy an episode of Off the Ball. I was only told that this week, and I'm talking about a Night of the Realm involved with Manchester.
A Night of the
Aberdeen,
Realm involved with Manchester and Aberdeen and here. You're meaning Sir Alex Ferguson.
So we can only say, Sir Alec, if you are tuned into today's show, there's always a seat for you in the studio.
Former St Johnstone legend, and can I actually say that ironically, having attended a St Johnstone event, it's you that's got the sore throat, not me.
Yeah, that's bizarre. Nice wee plug for a friend of the show and my old school chums. I was up with Jim Weir, as the football world knew him, James to me.
Yeah.
Hamilton Accies, St Johnstone, Hearts, etc. Saints legend, Hamilton Accies legend, Hearts. But he's taken over a boozer in Perth, and I went up to help him kind of lunch it the other night. Did a wee night that he very kindly did for the local hospice, and it was great. So it's another chapter in James's life.
Yeah, a theme bar.
And it's, if
bar made elbow your face.
if the theme is kind of failed lower league managerial gigs, that's the photos he would have up in the bar.
Aye.
But it's good news for all the football fans in Angus, because it means it will not be getting back to one of your clubs anytime soon. But no, good luck to James, if he's tuned in to the show today.
Well, talking about the show, we've got a very, very, very busy one, Tom, because so many things happening. We're going to be talking about the entire week in Scottish football, and I do notice on the rear end of the Daily Record today, they've got the Rangers manager Philippe Clement saying, "Don't walk out on us." This is a message to the so-called Subway loyal, and I think when we mentioned this on the show last week,
I was flamed. I was accused of stirring the pot by a listener in Giffnock, who I'm sure will be back on today, won't you, Alan?
To say you got it wrong.
Because you know what it's like. The minute you're deemed to have said anything that is not 100% positive about Celtic or Rangers, you're accused of supporting the other club or trying to get it right up that club. And it was nothing further for the truth.
I agree with you, Tam. You're a good girl.
And I'll tell you, we'll come to that later as well. I'll tell you as well, I'm totally selfish reasons as well, for wanting the Subway loyal, as are known, to remain behind at Ibrox to cheer the team off the park, or as the case will be today against Motherwell, to boo when their bubble bursts. But it's because of traffic. We're trying to go. You're going to St Johnstone game as usual, out of reach for Stuart Cosgrove. We never hide in for the listeners. He'll be watching the game coming into the building here, but he's going to get back home and he's going to hit that traffic because everybody leaves Ibrox earlier. But on a more global note, I think it's right what I say, that, Rangers 5-0 against a really, really good Hearts team last week, who were in an excellent run, and, it was about 30% full, Ibrox, at the end, when the players deserved an ovation.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. If Motherwell have just beaten somebody 5-0, wow. Now, we did it recently when we thought, right, we're bouncing back here. We did it against Ross County. You wait to the end. You know, and I know we don't have the same traffic issues because we're a wee diddy club and we only have 4,000 season ticket holders, unlike 50,000 at Ibrox, blah, blah, blah. But you want to give your players a cheer, you know?
Well, one of the major talking points this week was the return of strange missiles, particularly at the Hibs Hearts derby.
Well, first up, what we need to say, I mean, the absolute moron who threw the corkscrew. I mean, we're having a laugh that, Lawrence Shankland, good on you, pal. He grabbed in mid-air the half-eaten pie, took a bite, casual as you like, and threw it back.
So it's okay for him to throw a missile?
Well, exactly. It wouldn't surprise me in Scottish football
if he gets done.
If he gets done, called up by the beaks, you know. But whoever it was, though, and he thankfully dodged that as well. But whoever threw a metal corkscrew. You know, we sometimes talk about. I mean, if it had just ended at the pie, there would have been still some folk, who would have said, a few drama queens that would have said, if a bit of the crust of the pie had hit his eye, he could have been blinded. And you just move it on for that and you say, wait a minute, a metal corkscrew. Now, when it does back up, on a lighter note, we talked a while ago about who had the poshest fans in the country. I think Hibs have won it then. If you're taking a corkscrew
to a game.
Right, it's one thing sneaking in a bottle of wine, a bottle of bucky or that you just open. Right, it's a screw tap, right? But if you're taking
full corkage,
we're lucky. I mean, the guy didn't throw in the crystal decanter that I'm assuming he'd poured his Chateauneuf de Pape into. I mean, that was incredible. But honestly,
well, given that Hibs and they're always looking for £1, do you think they charge corkage with their season tickets?
There you go. That might be a new thing, right? To prevent them from bringing in corkscrews. But listen, the Hibs fans themselves, they'll know the score. They'll think it's absolutely out of order. The guy in this day and age, somebody must have seen him doing it and get the clown hunted, get him to jail. It was ridiculous.
Well, the thing with Shankland is as well that you could see the wee swerve that he did to avoid it, and it went past him. So it isn't one of those where it landed miles and miles away. It was actually very close to him.
You know what I'll say about Lawrence Shankland as well? He didn't make a meal of it. He didn't, no pun intended, with the pie, but he had a wee laugh about him catching the pie and stuff on the social media, and without him getting into, I could have been killed there if that other missile had hit me, you know. But I think it's down to now, Hibs, they were the home team, of course. And, were they the home? No, sorry. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up if I came for the Hibs fans. But, it's the Hibs fans who I think about self-policing.
Yeah. What
was my first and favourite episode of self-policing in Scottish football? And it involved Motherwell and St Johnstone.
That was when the Motherwell fans accepted that they had to turn on a small cluster of racists who were having a go at Jason Scotland.
There was some unsavoury shouts and chants, shall we say, and sound effects.
Yeah.
And it was dealt with very, very quickly.
By blaming on the Airdrie.
I was saying, it must have been them. They sneaked in with Motherwell tops on. Aye. But, if anybody's got any thoughts on that, we did briefly mention Brendan Rodgers and Jane Lewis. What a wee episode that was, if you get any take on that. Neil Warnock. Let's hear, there was even talk yesterday, I'm sure you were aware of that online, Stuart, that he had walked. That caught fire, that he had apparently walked out in the club. No, he hasn't, but another toughie the day. They're away to St Mirren.
Yeah, well, do you know what? I thought after we had probably one of our worst performances of the season away at St Mirren, the thought of us going up to Pittodrie and winning 2-0 and doing it with some swagger as well, just fantastic.
So let's hear for the Aberdeen fans. There'll be a lot of them actually heading down today. They'll still be in their droves. They'll still have that section behind the goals packed out. Give us your take, because again, it was that thing, we'll have some fun when I'm up here and all the rest of it, and it was as if just the whole season was just going to play out and there was nothing particularly meaningful. But they've got a huge cup game coming up.
Aye.
And suddenly, when you look at that league,
Yeah,
they are
as much in trouble as any other club
absolutely.
down there.
And as I say, I don't want to worry the Aberdeen fans, but when they, the big thing that Neil Warnock's got in his CV is winning promotion.
Yeah,
No.
Yeah, and can I just say, I actually thought St Johnstone were very good, and the goal, their second goal, penalty was the first goal. Their second goal, and I have to pay tribute to Benjamin Ubungu Kumpianko, who scored the goal.
Said.
Absolutely brilliant, wee tasty goal.
That was,
and there's sometimes in life when you look at a team and you think they've got enough to stay up. Have they got enough to rattle the cage and go top six? We will but find out. But they're playing Livingston today, and I think that this is quite a crucial game in Livingston's history, because if Livingston get nothing out of it at Perth today, I think it's curtains for them.
Yeah, I would agree. In fact, I'm going as far as saying that if Livingston... And we've cheered them from afar, Stuart, in this show, and we've tried to champion the cause of Davy Martindale and get another club and stuff like that. We're all for giving somebody another chance in life, but I am going to say as well today that I think unless they win, unless they go up to McDermott Park and win, then I think it's toast for Livy. But that's a worrying thing for the Aberdeen fans still. Motherwell, St Johnstone, it seems that we're in a wee bit of recovery now with a great win in midweek, fully deserved at Livy. And on that note as well, bring back Jim Farry. Get the Ouija board out. I mean, that night, we know, and folk were still getting overheated on why is Livy against Motherwell on Sky Sports. It's because of the quota. They've got to cover all the clubs, as I'm sure you agree, is only fair. And with my cynic's hat on, in a midweek when there were huge FA Cup games by other broadcasters, that's why they maybe chose that midweek for saying, right, we'll punt out Livy against Motherwell.
And
when there were 3, 1, 2, 3, hence my Jim Farry mention, 3 huge FA Cup ties on BBC One, ITV1 and ITV3. That's what that game was up against. Again, the bottom line, MD was one to watch that game, was at the game, right? But the previous night as well, Ross County against St Mirren, and they thought, you know what, we can slide 2 games in there.
Yeah,
it's not a Celtic game, it's not a Rangers game. It's all part of the programme planning, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But anyhow,
talking of programme planning, last night I was very intrigued to see Wraith Rovers bottle it. I had Wraith Rovers down as the team. I mean, there's something about them. They're a really, really good football team.
I know.
And the idea that they would lose such a crucial game in front of the cameras against the bottom team.
If we 2-0 up, and that's the thing, there's certainly no camera shy. They've been on the BBC Scotland channel loads this season. They therefore don't mind a bit of Friday night football under the lights. And then they went 2-0 up against Arbroath, who are bottom in the league. Yeah. And you thought, wow, what a huge result. Dundee United fans watching that would have been sweating because they'd had a bad week. A bit of pressure back on Jim Goodwin. And that's Wraith Rovers could have gone clear at the top, and Dundee United have to go to Firhill today.
Yeah.
So it could have been squeaky bum time at Dundee United, but I'm guessing they'll get a lift for that. Yeah. And it wouldn't surprise me now to see Dundee United go out there and win comfortably now against Partick Thistle.
Well, we can but see.
They don't want to go up.
No.
my dad told me that years ago, but it was Meadowbank Thistle.
Yeah.
Meadowbank Thistle in the old First Division used to always be right up there all the way.
And then just fade to the end.
Around about mid-March or whatever, they started faltering, and it was perceived that they don't want to go up and have to have full-time football and all the costs that come with that. But I'm sure that's not the case with Wraith Rovers.
Well, we have
just
to,
a blip.
We have to get the views of all of our kind of championship club fans, but Dundee United and Wraith Rovers, what a significant weekend
and
this could be.
Anything else for the weekend football before we move on to our other stuff? Because Stuart, second topic, one word, disappointed.
Yes, I was disappointed that just about every newspaper in Scotland bored us to death about a Willy Wonka experience.
Well, I was not disappointed in that because I'd read about it, and then it was only last night I finally saw footage of it, and oh boy,
Brutal,
it
wasn't it?
stunk the place out. Have you any idea how much it cost to get in?
I've no idea what the entry was, but it was certainly not the cutting edge experience,
No,
was it?
it was absolutely appalling. So there are a lot of people have gone. There's a lot of people that have been complaining about it.
Do you think there's people now going because it's kitsch?
Aye, oh, absolutely. I think there'll be folk want to go. It's kind of car crash stuff.
Aye.
And they think, oh, I can't avoid it now. I've got to go and see how bad it is. You know,
Yeah.
that's how Hamilton Accy sell season tickets, Stuart. It's the same marketing plan. But no, so one word, disappointed. Just tell us about something in life. You've maybe outlaid some cash for something. It could be anything. It could be a show. It could be an event. It could be a pair of trainers. It could be absolutely anything.
I was disappointed that the Dundee team bus couldn't get back on its own merits.
Well, wow, for the Dundee fans who, of course, have been enjoying this season, they must be thinking if only that bus had get towed away before it left Dens Park, you know, because that just put the tin lid on a rotten night. But of course, if you look at the message board, Stuart, and all that, the real reason that Celtic beat Dundee 7-1 is because Tony Docherty is a Celtic fan and he ordered his professional players to lie down and get to help Celtic in the league, you know. Now, I saw that online for quite a few Rangers fans, right?
Fantasyland,
Who
isn't it?
conveniently forgot that on the same evening, Rangers lost to Kilmarnock, who are managed by former Rangers player and a guy who's talked about as the manager every single week, Derek McInnes, who is self-confessed Rangers diehard.
Yeah.
But, of course, that doesn't get mentioned, you know. What a load of guff. But anyhow, gives you talk now of that. Disappointed. I must say, Stuart, the first time I ever went for it, you know I like going for a massage, but the first time I went for what I would call a proper massage, you know, very, very disappointed because the sign had clearly said...
This is 12:22.
No, it's absolutely fine, but no, the sign had clearly stated that a massage would get rid of stiffness. And I'm sorry, I was wanting my money back, you know, but the ones that I would say, but you know, it's a minor trope now in this show, but I wouldn't even tell you how much we spent in tickets, but that time I get front row seats for the legend, the icon that is Bette Midler in Las Vegas. But the front row seats meant that the whole spectacle, the choreography, the colour, everything was ruined. You had to be sitting a good bit back
to get
take
the
it
experience.
in. And I think I always compare it to when they do the classic Springtime for Hitler dance, and the producers, they've been like, sitting right down at the front of the stage for that, and you can't see it. You had to be back and maybe a bit of elevation there. So I'd go with that. Another one that I've mentioned before, but it was, and it only happened across the river there. Because I love the guy to bits, still love his music, play it all the time, but when I saw Kenny Rogers literally on his last legs, hobbling out onto the stage, the voice had gone and the so-called support act ran the show. It was brutal. And not only did he retire a few months later, almost not surprisingly, passed away just another few months after that. So very, very disappointing. What about yourself?
Well, do you know what? I'm one of these
Tell me this, you know what? And you've met them all, right, through all the NME stuff and all. What about that old man? Oh, never meet your heroes because you can only end up disappointed. Was there one of them?
I think there's a lot of truth in that because, you know, quite a lot of my heroes are already dead. So, you know, you look at it, I went to see, I mean, an event that I'll never ever forget. I went to the Fox Theatre in Detroit to see the Four Tops and the OJs. Now, on the night, Ronnie McNear, the vocalist, had replaced Levi Stubbs of Four Tops. Levi, who'd had a stroke, was brought on in a wheelchair to a standing ovation, but there was something slightly pathetic about it. And you know what, Tam? I've grown to believe that sometimes when you're going to see old and infirm acts in the final, you know, their final swan song, that you should just enjoy the experience because you're applauding their career rather than their performance. And to some extent, you almost, in a maudlin way, you almost want to say, well, that's it. That's the curtain down. I'll never see them again.
I think the folk that go to gigs like that, and I've been to many because you know my taste,
Yeah.
it's no one for first timers who maybe take a chat. Oh, I think I'll get a ticket for that, you know, because they could definitely be disappointed. You know,
Yeah.
you're willing to cut them some slack
Yeah.
when you've been like a lifelong fan, and you know you're there to just give them a bit of applause and show your gratitude.
But
anyway,
one of the things is for the Fox Theatre, one of the things as well was that they'd announced it was going to be a zoot suit night.
All right.
So all of these older African Americans were in the full zoot suits and the fedoras and everything, and you feel like a dick in your jeans standing next to them, you know?
Yes, absolutely.
It's like
right.
when you go to a fancy dress party and you've no joined in.
Aye, well, just don't go to them. No, that's my
Exactly, aye.
general rule.
Yeah.
Right, so one word, disappointed. Give us all your tales. Now, third talk point, one of our guests today is Stuart Mitchell, stand-up comedian. He'll be plugging his show that he's doing at the Glasgow Comedy Festival. And Stuart has got quite an interesting past. He worked with Gordon Brown at one point. He was involved in finance. He's an ex-banker. And he's
an ex-what?
He's an ex-banker. We might have a limerick later on that. I don't remember, but the last line's always got to be clean. That's the rule off the ball.
So he comes from Sankar?
Yes, he could. Aye. There we go. But the cost of living, that is what Stuart is as good as calling his show this time. So we're talking about the cost of living football and the cost of living. Now, right off the top of my head, I was in the company of Frank McAvenny last night, which is always a pleasure. He was doing some stuff for West Ham, and he was saying the particular game he was doing it. He says, the football, it was rank. It was really, really bad, but Frank reckons the cheapest you could have in off the street and get a ticket for at West Ham was £95.
Yeah.
£95 now,
And that
right?
would actually be cheap for that league.
Aye, and
Or
you know
not
what?
cheap, but
I'm going to say as well, everybody thought, I bet in today's show, Tam blasts the moronic Celtic fans who yet again damaged seats at Fir Park. I'm sure you saw the photos online.
I did.
But no,
Yeah.
can I just take a minute to thank them? Because this isn't the first time it's happened, Motherwell already have an agreement in place that when seats get damaged by Celtic fans, we just send the bill to Peter Lawwell.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of those seats were actually due for an upgrade.
Aye.
So I just like to thank the Celtic fans for covering the costs.
I bet you it doesn't go to Peter Lawwell. I think he's got better things to be doing with
Oh, no,
his
it
working
does.
day.
No, they did agree, and they says, look, just
Straight
send
to
us
Peter
the bill.
Lawwell or straight to an accountant at Celtic?
Oh, right, okay, you know what I mean.
Aye.
Peter Lawwell is the figurehead, okay?
Yeah.
No point sending it to his son these days, obviously. He's off
He's
skate.
toast.
But is that a bit of scapegoating going on there?
I think so, yeah. Well, look, here's the thing. It's all complicated because if you believe in the Ange Postecoglou myth, he was part of the kind of the team that wanted Lawwell's son there.
Aye.
It always feels a wee bit nepotistic, doesn't it?
Yeah.
However much, and you have to be on fire to get away with that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
No blips, no bad signings.
You know, we've mentioned it in the respect. Motherwell fans will remember, you know, when Billy Davies brought in John
Yeah.
Davies, you know, flack for that. Even when Billy Davies was there at Motherwell and John Spencer came in.
His brother-in-law.
Yeah. Right? And everybody said that the gag at the time, but he's there in merit. And he said, aye, because he merit his sister, right? But fans, it's the usual thing.
Yeah.
When John Spencer, at the start of the Motherwell career, banging in the goals, nobody mentioned nepotism or, you're doing your family again. But when it goes bad.
The other thing is that John Davis was a seasoned and very, very talented midfielder.
At his peak.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have any bargain into that St Johnstone team, would he?
Certainly not. No, he would
so
not. No.
Again, but anyway, football and the cost of living gives you a take, because the one thing I was going to say for the Celtic fans is that I still don't believe. And I had to get a couple of tickets for one of my pals who was wanting to get into the away end. And wow, 2 tickets, £66.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, we thank you very much for your money, but I don't think to watch a Motherwell Celtic game, I don't think anybody should be paying £33.
Well, we've got our Bring a Friend Day today. That's
Tricky.
yeah. Here's the thing as well. You say you're my friend and have to come to the Livingston
Exactly,
game.
aye. Oh, cute. No, that's the sort of game to go to. That'll be
Yeah,
brilliant
but the
today.
thing is, it's there to kind of bring people out that maybe haven't been at a live game for a while or whatever. I get the point. But you know what? Right outside it is a collection point for the St Johnstone food banks. And you kind of sometimes think that we've got a lot of things out of proportion. I personally think, and I get shot down every time I mention this because people then start to compare and contrast with English football, I think our squad sizes are too big in Scotland. I think way too many people are not likely to be in your kind of starting 11 or even on the bench, and yet they're being paid a footballer's wage. Now, that, not putting aside all the academy and developing young talent and that, there's a lot of players that, most squads now are up about 28 for their first team
absolutely.
squad.
And you know where the whole thing with the food banks, and so many clubs, and good on them, because it's clearly all voluntary, and it's a brilliant thing today, doing the food bank collections at football grounds. But again, when you look at the price of tickets to get in, you start thinking, what about if the clubs brought the price down a wee bit and we just donate that money? There's something that doesn't sit easy with me, Stuart, where you're donating tins of beans to families that really need it, and then you see clubs charging £4.50 for a mutton pie. There's all that going on as well. You know what I mean?
It's a strange world, and we're right in the midst, as you know, of a cost of living crisis for which football, to some extent, reflects some of the strengths and weaknesses of that. So I'm quite interested to hear what people have got to say about that.
Aye. And what is the chocolate-based barometer when it always comes to the cost of living? What's the thing folk always cast up? Is the price of what? It's always a Freddo the Frog. They wee chocolate bars that not so long ago were 10 pence, and they really, really crept up. I think they're about 35 now.
Is that why Pie and Bovril give them away to people that win competitions? I noticed they get a box of Freddos.
Oh, is that right? Well, Div McDonald, if he's tuned in, he can tell us that. But yeah, a lot of folk jokingly get their knickers in a twist about the price of a Freddo Frog chocolate bar. But anyway, three great topics so far. The last one, we want to hear about your great escapes. When have you dodged a bullet for whatever reason? Because we're also going to be joined by Grado, wrestling star, Starry Scott Squad, Two Doors Down, the Pavilion Panto in Glasgow, and he's got this new series, of course, about Scotland's greatest escapes. Now, this would be the lovely wee nooks and crannies in our country, the lovely wee bakeries, the lovely holiday spots that are tucked away. But we're going with that title on Great Escapes, and we're wanting to know when you had really dodged a bullet. Give us your thoughts. When had you escaped for something? When had you bowed out of something? Our producer was talking about earlier about dodging out of a funeral, I think it was, to basically go and watch St Johnstone. Thought he would have been scolded for doing it, but the general opinion of the family was that the relative lying in the box says, that's what I would have wanted.
Aye.
You can't miss the fit, but you can't do anything else for me now.
Great escapes here. What are we talking about?
Well, I remember my dad too, even though we didn't have much money, my dad always liked us getting a holiday. And I remember it was the Easter holidays 1986, and talk about a great escape, because my dad, it was almost a spin of the coin. He was either going to take us to Butlins at Skegness, or we were going to go to Pontins at Chernobyl. And unfortunately, Skegness won. And that would have been a whole different April 1986
I'm trying
for us.
to think if I've had a very memorable escape. I mean, there was the time when I tunnelled out at Camp H and Stalag 17.
When you were only a young man then.
I used to manage to avoid the Gestapo.
You were only a young man.
As I crawled into the forest.
But we get the idea when maybe, I don't know, they were looking for somebody at your work to stand up and do a speech. You thought it was going to be you, but phew, somebody else did it. Just when have you done escape? When did you dodge a bullet? Any other phrase like that? We'll take all your thoughts. Football and the cost of living. Our one-word topic is disappointed, as those people felt who paid a pretty penny to see the Willy Wonka event in Glasgow. I know, even with them using that word, And all the football stuff this week, there's loads that you can add to it, I'm sure. We had Brendan Rodgers and our good pal Jane Lewis. We had Lawrence Shanklin with a pie, and certainly not so funny was the corkscrew, a metal corkscrew chucked onto the pitch. Neil Warnock, how's he going to fare today down at St Mirren? Let's hear from the Aberdeen
what would
fans.
motivate somebody to actually put that in his jacket pocket going into to a football match. I'm assuming that he had a bottle of corked wine.
No, well, again, as much as we're laughing about how he may have been, one of the posh Hibs fans with a nice 1973 Chateau Lafite or something.
But would you know it had a screw top?
No, it was one of those metal corkscrews that's also got the wee bit for the cap of a bottle of beer.
Ah,
so
right,
I'm guessing it was maybe a wee couple of bottles of Beck's or something in each inside pocket. Hoping that he didn't get frisked on the way in, which clearly didn't happen, or I hope they would have taken the metal corkscrew off him.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't even necessarily for the posh wine. Dundee getting pumped 7-1, let's hear for the Dundee fans. And Wraith Rovers last night, talk about missed opportunities, 2-0 at Arbroath and they get beat 3-2. And our team of the week, Ross County. Thanks to Ross County for sparking this one. Ross County have employed a new head of performance. Do you imagine that 15 years ago? Mine used to be a manager, an assistant manager, and a wee old guy with a bucket and a sponge. But Ross County have now got a new head of performance, and his name, Joy of Joys, and there were a few off-the-ball listeners this week pointed this out for us. His name is Jason Moriarty.
Excellent.
As in Inspector Moriarty.
No, Moriarty was the nemesis.
The nemesis, Inspector, his name might pop up. I can see him with a moustache in the old Basil Rathbone, Nigel Bruce films. But what was the name of that inspector, if anybody can help us? We are going with, as you've guessed by now, the Sherlock Holmes 11.
Let me try you with the Viking, Stavanger, Hibernian and St Johnstone midfielder, Paul Cockayne.
Paul Cockayne, rather than Paul Kane. We've got Joe Baker Street. Joe Baker Street. And what was their address in Baker Street?
Was it 126? No?
Oh, away. 221B. 221B Baker Street.
Yeah.
We've also got for the manager Pipe Guardiola. And we had the Motherwell goalkeeper, Liam Elementary, my dear Watson. So you get the idea. All things Sherlock Holmes. With a wee nod to Jason Moriarty. Good luck with your new gig at Ross County. 80295 in the text. You can email offtheball@bbc.co.uk.
Yes, this week in Scottish football, one word, the word disappointed. Football and the cost of living and your great escape. Our team of the week is the Sherlock Holmes 11 and our guests are coming up. They're Stuart Mitchell and Grado.
You think you know me, you think you know me. 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 You will never know me. You are lost and scared.
When the English Barbie Army Orchestra play that song at away games, what instrument would you like to have with you?
What are you talking like machine gunnery kind of stuff? Yeah, right.
I'd like to be in the top of one of these towers at Stalag 17.
Oh, yeah, that's not a bad shout. Right, but anyhow, that was, of course, the theme of The Great Escape. We might as well start then with Grado. How you doing?
Appreciate it, Tom.
Lovely. You didn't sleep in this morning then, no?
No. Oh, you're not going to grass me up for that,
Can I tell your old tale? We're talking about,
back
Stuart, disappointments. I was disappointed on Tuesday morning to tune in to Grado's early morning breakfast show on a commercial radio station in Glasgow, only to discover he wasn't there, right?
All right.
Now, he'd been in my company the day before. He'd not been drinking orange juice. He was staying overnight in a Glasgow hotel. In the morning, Tuesday morning, trying to dash to his work, he's searching the hotel car park for his motor. Can he find it? Oh, it must have been towed away. Look, have another look. He's got the staff out helping him out. Oh, no, it's not been towed. It must have been stolen. Then he suddenly realised I had a courtesy car. You Tube.
By the way, I have to say I did stop drinking at 5 o'clock the night before, just in case that sounds dodgy there. But thanks for
Landing you in it.
aye, 'cause
Clapping.
I hope Paul Cooney has listened to this morning, by the way.
But
And
there
I'm not
we
joking.
go. But okay, well, we'll be listening.
I think we had to play about 10 songs, one after the other, until I turned up. But what a day it was on
So,
Monday. That was
Grado,
good.
let me down gently here.
What?
You're the smooth talking DJ, are you?
That's it. I've
Yeah.
been at Go Radio now for nearly 4 years. We launched during lockdown, so aye, it's been
good
going.
old.
It's been going great. Enjoy it.
But tell us about Great Escapes and get the plug in early and then we'll do that topic.
Scotland's Greatest Escape. It's 8 episodes. We're trying to find hidden gems, the best place we really want to showcase Scotland, because on your doorstep you don't realise how beautiful Scotland really is. You go a wee hurl in the motor to somewhere, you don't need to worry about going to the airport, going through security, overpriced pints. It's all on your doorstep, and every week we showcase different categories as well. So 1 week it's the budget category, 1 week it's luxury, 1 week it's adventure. So I've been travelling all around Scotland for the last 6 months. I don't know how many thousand miles I've put in my motor. That's my own motor, not the courtesy motor. But I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and it's came up, it's great.
Simple question, the best, the one that you thought.
Aye, what was
Well,
yours?
I'm not allowed to say.
No?
But I'll say a couple. I'll mention a couple of belters. There's a place called the Sheeling, which is somewhere. God, here I go. Anywhere past up by Glasgow, it means up north. But it's the Sheeling is, and it's got your own private loch, and there's a jacuzzi, there's a barbecue there, and it's all done up. But in the same token, there's lovely wee kind of funky ones. Like there's a place out in Edinburgh called the Bus Stop,
Right.
which is essentially old buses that have been converted into like modern lodges.
Wow.
So it's great kind for the Waynes to come on. They think they're in the bus, and it's all been done up. But
And they sleep there overnight.
Ah,
then,
you
aye?
sleep inside the bus. You sleep
Aye.
inside the bus.
The Sheeling is also what Sean Connery's wife kept asking him to paint. That's a true story. Now, you say that there's so much on your doorstep.
Aye.
So what did you find in Stevenson in Ayrshire? Come on.
Hey, no, Stevenson's gone well there. Eh?
Right, give me a hidden gem then. A hidden gem for
Right then,
Stevenson.
Sandylands Caravan Park. There you go.
Very good.
You can usually get it on one of these sort of 5 p.m. What do they call that? The vouchers and all that you can get.
Right.
There's usually something in the paper you can get a full week there for
Right.
$8.99 or something like that.
Now, the
Wait a
reason...
minute, I need to bring in Stuart Mitchell, our second guest.
Hang on,
Stuart,
just before you do, because I don't want to confuse the listeners. We did all the hidden gems and all that last week.
I know, I was listening. Thanks for the
Right,
plug,
that
by
was
the
your
way.
plug. So we're
Aye.
moving it on to actual Great Escapes. When you've dodged a bullet, when you go away early for something, when you that's what we're going with today with Grado. We'll let him have a wee think about that. Stuart, you must have a plug as well, please,
A plug?
for your show.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant
Aye,
for...
you were thinking for a bath.
Aye, I thought your kettle had broken or something like that. No, that's good, aye. I've got my show. Just talking about that story with Grado, took my pug to the vet the other day and it was a VIP package, so they gave me a courtesy dog. Brilliant.
Very good.
Aye,
Very good. And Stuart, I think we maybe talked about this many moons ago, but you came into the comedy scene through a very different route than traditionally would be the case.
I did. So I used to, as you mentioned, I used to be a banker.
Yeah.
And I hated it. And then I left. I just had to get out. Well, I say I left. I waited 2 weeks till I got my bonus. And then I gave up.
9.2 million, you did well.
Right. So not quite that. So I went the other route. So obviously you normally be a comedian, then get a real job. So I had a real job, and then I
became a comedian. Yeah.
Right.
Was it something actually as you were working away? Don't know what kind of bank you worked on, whether it was commercial or investment or whatever. But when you're working in the bank, did you feel as if you were not necessarily, fulfilling your own kind of creative ambitions or something, or? What was it like?
Absolutely. So what happened? Basically, the financial crash happened, and my dad, that was alive at the time, he lost like half his pension overnight, and that for me was just because that was meant to be mine eventually.
Aye. Right.
So I was just devastated. I was like, handed in my resignation, and that was it. And then the true moment was when I went to Gordon Ramsay's restaurant, and me and my wife for lunch paid £640 and 69 pence.
Wow.
Wow.
Incredible.
Wow.
I know. See that noise you made, Tam? That's what my bum hole
No, I'm
did.
just telling my wife would have been disappointed if she'd only got a starter as well. You miserable get.
I know. I'm taking photographs under the table, and my wife's like, "What you doing?" I'm like, "Your shoes are going on eBay, man."
So what one of his restaurants was it? Was it one of his the
It was a
Swiss
Chelsea.
London ones?
It was a Chelsea one.
Right,
It was a proper.
right.
They pull your chair away and all that.
But see, I went to the one in Vegas and I had, what was it, pork belly, and it was rotten. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't think it was really up to much.
Well, I went to his burger one in Vegas, and that was really good. That was in Planet Hollywood.
I think that was maybe the same one, but I'll tell you, it's a right good one for the wings. See the one in Harrods. You been to that one in there, Tam? No?
No, when we went to the Italian in Harrods when we were down there in October. But the one in Heathrow, we were talking about recently, Terminal 5.
Plain,
was
is
there?
it? Oh, plain, aye.
Plain food, Plane food.
Right.
And it's Gordon Ramsay's. I thought it was excellent. That's just for balance, seeing it in case he's tuned in and you've just libelled him there, right?
Aye. Well, I went to the one, I think I must have told this story on air before, but I went to the one that's in a big hotel in London, the Criterion, would it be? Something like that.
Right.
And I'm sitting at the table, and the two of us was there with my wife, and we'd ordered up our meal, and I was chatting away, and a wee guy next to me, I could sense that he was Scottish. You know how you get that thing where he's trying to kind of neb into the conversation.
The cutlery's gone in his pocket.
Aye. And he said to me, wee wise guy, and he said to me, he said, hey, by the way, he says, I'm here with a date, and he was here with this big, like, airline pilot, big boy, and the two of them were chatting away, and he says, he's ordered the £100 bottle of wine, and I don't drink wine. I'll give you the bottle. And he handed me the bottle in the midst of this posh restaurant.
They must have
It
knew
was
it.
a very fine wine.
They must have knew I was Scottish as well because it was a £10 supplement for cheese, and then they all looked at me a weirdo because I wanted it on my chips.
Gordon Ramsay, now you're both Rangers supporters, and I know for a fact, and I'm
Yes.
intrigued to hear what it's like. He's put the menu up. Is it in one of the lounges?
Aye. I've not actually. I've not heard anybody's been to it yet.
No.
But he's got his own sort of cafe thing.
It's something
What is
like-
it, Blue Nose Burger and all that, or that kind of carry on?
No.
No,
But
it's the posh end, isn't it?
Aye, but it's no. I don't think it's outrageous. If there's any Rangers fans that have sampled, I think it's something like for your lunch, pre-match lunch. I think it's something like maybe is it £65
That-
for it's not that sort of money Stuart was talking about, you know. But
Yeah.
I think.
Aye,
but
they're no throwing that at players, are they?
No, Stuart, the cost, again, it was. What was your take on that, boys? I mean, it was a lovely. Lord Shanklin catching the pie and taking a bite and throwing it back. Ha, ha, ha.
I
But
love that.
the corkscrew, wow.
That's a bit for, and that was a bit much. But I like what you put on Instagram about the Hibs fan filling up their own pies.
Yes, I was saying the biggest story was the fact there's talk this week in the evening news. A Hibs fan who had been making his own pies at home, filling them with his ex-crew and I sent it to wee Lawrence, and again he had a laugh at that. You know what I mean? But
Apparently, the last player to get hold of a pie after scoring was Frank McAvenny in Feyenoord in 1983.
yes, it would have been.
Yeah.
Aye. Now, Stuart, why don't you get a plug in? You skimmed by it there. A plug in for the show at the Comedy Festival.
Aye, so got a lot going on at the Comedy Festival. So get 3 shows, so a handful of tickets left. Well, I say a handful if you get 60 Hons. So, but that's on the third show is on Sunday the 24th of March at Blackfriars, and then the Glasgow Da, myself and Mr. Raymond Mearns.
Yeah. Oh, that's a show as well.
Yeah,
aye.
so we're doing that on the 17th and 31st of March. So
Brilliant.
really looking
and
forward to
again,
that.
I'm hoping then in a kind of role reversal, and then you can explain this to the boys, because I know he's up here for the festival. I'm hoping that Frank Skinner is in the audience and he takes part in the show.
Yeah.
Why would I be saying that, Stuart?
Oh, because I took part in his on my very first. I think I'd been gigging